Where are we now? That's all right. I'll throw a joke in with it. If you have gone and watched the videos, one reason, if I can encourage people to watch them, you will get to see the growth of my hair following my treatments from almost nothing to full head. So I looked at those again today and I went, wow, the hairless time. But this has been an honor to work with the group of individuals involved in this committee, and in front of everybody I would like to call out their names and once again have them stand and have everybody, the amount of hours this community committee has put into this has been amazing. And I've got a list, I know everybody's names, I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. First, we've got our two committee chairs, and I'm going to call one of those chairs up here in a little bit to have our closing remarks. But Mary Fergurson and Mike Goldenettle, oh, and Gary Haddon are three community chairs. If you could stand up, stand up. And then with the rest of them, if they could just stand up, and then we'll give them the applause they so deserve at the end. Elizabeth Becker, Sue Freeman, Betsy Hutchinson, Janet Chipman, Dr. Doris Robinson, Richard Johnson. Teachers who are on the committee, Jim Chelsvig and Tony Perkins, Kelly Poole, two board members, Mike Lonergan and Debbie Mall, and then of course we had our central office staff, Dana Kinley and myself. Please give these people a huge round of applause for the work that they have done. Now I've just jotted a couple notes, some things that in closing I think I want to discuss. JDC grounds. It had an impact on this decision. I know at one point in time we were really excited about the possibility of the JDC grounds opening up. That's gone cold. There's a couple different reasons politically, my assumption, that have created it to go cold. One, some of the state grounds, for example in Centralia, they're still fighting to keep the Murray Center open. And I don't think the legislature is going to get involved with making a final decision about what to do with those grounds until there's a complete answer for the complete package. This could be 4 or 5 years before a decision comes. So we could not put that as a part of our scenarios. And that's free land, potentially, hopefully. And nothing else we spoke about, even scenario D, the high cost on that was the cost of land. So that's still going to be there in the background. And C's the one that people seem to pick, and it fits within the budget, and academically I know we're on top of it, so I'm not saying that's what we're going to pick on the 14th, but let's say it is. It still gives us the opportunity, if the JDC grounds open up, to talk about a big K-5 center for everybody that goes on there. It still offers these opportunities for phase 2 in the future. So please keep that in the back of your mind. My biggest worry with this was when the reality hit of how much we could actually raise. And one person in here that I have a lot of discussions with, I get along with tremendously well, I could sense the frustration of, did we waste our time by being here? No. Every ounce of the plans of the scenarios are going to be kept. And those will be the scenarios from which we will talk about phase 2. And we will bring those back to this process and shorten the length of the process. We went through all that in CES1 and 2 to get to the scenarios. Those will be the scenarios we will bring back when we start talking about phase 2. Your work's not in vain. The input has been tremendous. And once again, your input created the polling questions that really got input from the community. I said after CES3, when everybody was standing up about both, I said, you say amen in church, you're going to get an amen. Go down to McDonald's and try that. And that's what we're facing. But we need a win. Rod's right. Winning's contagious. It's been 35 years since something has passed. It's been 32 years since we've built something. We're partners. The district and the community has a partnership, and I do know that that partnership has been strained over the last couple of years, and I do know that stood in the way of this. I'm hoping this process has helped alleviate that and get our partnership closer together. We're here with the same mission. We care about our kids and we care about our community. So if we take something to the board and the board passes it and it's not the plan you wanted, ask yourself, am I going to stand in the way of that and be a part of the problem, or can I accept it and let's get growth and be a part of the solution? You've got to ask yourself that. 14th, we'll meet in here. And we're going to toss everything into the center and talk about it and debate each other and play devil's advocate. We do that well. This group of people are amazing to work with. After that, the district's role, even technically right now, the school board, myself as a superintendent, even the teachers when they're on the clock. I'm on the clock by the state 24/7. I can be a giver of fact. I can tell you the 1-cent sales tax will generate this amount of money. I can tell you that it will not be on most farm equipment, that it will not be on cars and RVs and trucks. I can tell you that we have a 7% sales tax and Springfield has an 8.5%. Those are facts. But I cannot be involved with any referendum efforts. And I wanted to clarify that because if all of a sudden I kind of go quiet that way, I don't want you to go, where'd Ptacek go? That's the law. So in closing, I needed to bring up somebody up here who started this whole process with the opening speech, the opening presentation, and it's only appropriate that our chairman ends it. Mary Fergurson has been the face for years for the community involvement in attempting to get something done. If everyone knew how much she has given to this community and how much she cares, they'd clap every time she entered a room.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for those very kind words, Steve. I feel now that I'm, as a graduate of Jacksonville High School in 1975, that I'm the living embodiment of the crimson right now. My face is, I'm sure, quite red. But it's out of a true sense of devotion and concern about the community. And I'm not alone in that. I want you all to know. I mean, witness all the people who are here this evening and who've been coming since January. Thank you all. That's the first and foremost thing I have to say in my remarks tonight. When Mr. Ptacek asked me to present a short wrap-up message as the forum component of this community engagement process comes to a close, I really almost became nostalgic, maybe even a little wistful, wondering how on earth I'm going to spend Wednesday nights in the future. You know, without you folks and my Vision 117 colleagues, someplace else besides the JHS cafeteria. You know, Mr. McGiles, we've got a TV, but it's never on. There's a real problem with that. But as my daughters would say, who are 17 and 20 and just so, I don't know, young, JK, for the rest of us, that's just kidding, of course. But it's obvious, due to and evidenced by the strong turnouts at our multiple fora, that this is an important priority for a broad cross-section of our district's stakeholders. There's real value in preparing a conclusion, and not just for language arts assignments and research papers. In order to do a creditable job, you're forced to look back, to review, and most meaningfully, to realize everything you've learned in the process. Like most importantly, how to pronounce Mr. Ptacek's name. It is not Mr. Ptacek like basic, it is Ptacek like taco. That's one of the first things that I asked of him. And that Sam Johnson, our principal and one of our stalwart guides during this process, plays a mean trumpet. Who'd have thought? But that just goes to show you not to make light of the situation and the long hours that we've spent together, but to highlight really the collegiality of the experience. And committee members, you're all to thank for that. You here who've been a part of this process in the community and who've come to these fora, Thank you for that. Thinking back to mid-September, when the school board was considering hiring the consultants from BLDD and Unicom ARC to coordinate this planning process, District 117 had a brand new superintendent who most of us didn't know, except the whispers that he was sick. There was still an overhang of distrust of our school board by many district stakeholders at that time. But still, within the community, there was an unarticulated, deeply seated desire to strategically plan for the future, for the good of our children, for the very sake of our community. And just hearkening back to Mr. Ptacek a little bit, those of you who've attended CES sessions, who've met Steve or heard him in other venues, recognize that Steve is not a nuanced man. His honesty, his forthrightness, his candid nature by its very essence engenders trust. Though if you've ever been caught in the glare of the school teacher, there's an element of discomfort too. And as the daughter and wife of a school teacher, yeah, it can be uncomfortable. But you get that look because somebody cares. And somebody cares deeply enough to share the truth with you. We owe a big thank you to our Board of Education and to Steve for hiring our team of experts and committing themselves to this open and transparent, lengthy, and in-depth process. When I reached out to Steve back in mid-September, he didn't know me from Eve at the time, to encourage the board and him to take this action. I spoke then, not really knowing, but judging on faith that this process would be a, quote, rewarding, timely investment for our community, one that we could not afford to ignore. In my mind, as I was taking a leap of faith that many others shared my opinion and would involve themselves and make this truly a meaningful exercise. That belief has been borne out by the committed and diligent members of the Vision 117 facilitation team and all of you and others who've made sacrifices to participate. Again, thank you. Not done yet. At our first community engagement forum, I shared my reasons for being in this room, and I'm convinced now, after having gone through 4 of them, that many of you are here for the same reasons and that you will stay engaged in Vision 117. And let me recap. As parents, we're concerned about our children's educational experience and the strength of that foundation as they enter the workforce, go to college, or learn a trade. As members of the business community, we're concerned about workforce quality, employment opportunities, and the economic vibrancy of Jacksonville and Morgan County. As property owners and wage earners, we're concerned about equity, greatly concerned about equity. We're also greatly concerned about maximizing educational opportunities and outcomes in wholly appropriate environments that proclaim the high value that we as a community place on education. It's been gratifying to me, and I know to members of Vision 117 team, that you've come together to learn facts and understand circumstances. And for a lot of that, we can thank our experts. We can thank Steve, Mr. Pithy comment, for making these facts and truths easy to understand. You've come together to discuss and to prioritize issues, to share concerns, to listen to other perspectives, to disagree respectfully, but to forge compromises. And finally, you've come here to dream big, yet plan responsibly. We in the community should be proud of the efforts made by so many to achieve actionable consensus and encouraged by the commitment and conviction of so many that doing nothing is not an option. Powerful things can happen in District 117 as people work together toward the achievement of a collective vision of excellence. I hope you all, like me, truly believe that efforts like the one that we're currently engaged in are among the approaches that help secure a community's educational future. In January, we welcomed you to Vision 117. The rest of our path forward lies ahead. Let's continue to travel that road together. Thank you.